Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the natal chart of William Shatner. Many of you may know he is an iconic actor. He's was an actor on Star Trek, iconic series, of course. And I'm going to talk about his astrology chart and give a little analysis on it. Now, the thing about it is, I think what's very interesting. The first thing off is okay. He has an Aries Sun, Taurus Moon, and Aquarius Rising. And I've talked about in previous videos, I do believe very strongly, very adamantly about how actors' roles and scenes can often correspond with their charts. And I mean, there just seems to be an uncanny correlation between the two. And the thing about it is with an Aries Rising, with Aries Sun and Aquarius Rising, it's interesting. There was one scene where William Shatner was in a Star Trek episode. He was fighting this lizard man, and of course the Aries basic ones can be connected. Fundamental ones can be connected with combat and fighting, and then Aquarius Ascendant, of course, is ingenuity that's projected outwardly. He used ingenuity to defeat this lizard man in this episode. He made some kind of improvised cannon and had a projectile and shot the lizard man and defeated him because due to that. And a Taurus moon with him, it gives him a lot of I'd say emotional stability. I think it might help stabilize a little bit of the erratic and sporadic Aquarius rising energy. He also has his Uranus is conjunct his Mercury, so this can show innovative thinking as well. And having this in the second house, I'm sure he's interested in all kinds of new monetary, outlets or what have you. And it could be also, this could show ingenuity in terms of making money. I'm sure he has had a plethora of financial money making ideas and ventures, and having a Taurus moon, it's something that he probably really enjoys. It's part of an emotional need, I would say, connected with him. Now, a thing about first off, the thing about is, even though he does have, I mean, when we look at it on the surface, that it seems to have a lot of outgoing energy with the Aquarius ascendant and Aries Sun, but he has a preponderance of planetary energy on the bottom part of his chart. I mean, which could suggest, there are 8 of 10 planets are in the bottom half of the chart, which could suggest more introversion over optimism, perhaps a little more pessimism over optimism. I should say extroversion over he's probably more introverted and introspective over being extroverted and gregarious, and maybe a little bit more pessimistic than optimistic. And really, and also he's probably more inclined to a private life, even though he has had, I understand, being an actor, he has had a very strong public life and has gotten a lot of acclaim for it, but he probably is a little bit more to himself than the typical actor is. He also has Saturn in the 12th house. Saturn in the 12th can mean, I have Saturn in the 12th house in my chart, and that could be sometimes a little bit reclusive and difficulty in letting others in to one's life. And thing about his chart as well, he also has, he has a preponderance of energy, major astrological influences in cardinal signs, so it tells me that he's probably he doesn't have, he really is in a hurry to get things started. He may start a lot of projects practically simultaneously, he may not finish every one, but I think the fact that he has a fixed ascendant in moon does factor into that, and I would suspect he has more follow through than the typical person with a strong concentration of cardinal energy. Now, another thing too, looking at William Shatner's chart, and the thing that I really, one thing I noticed, of course, with Aquarius rising, he has 2 chart rulers. He has one being Saturn in the 12th house, and he has the other one, Uranus, in the 2nd house. So this is where a lot of that Aquarius rising energy that comes out outwardly can be expressed strongly. It could be, having it in the 12th house, he might show a lot of that Aquarius outward energy more in private, and people that are prominent in his private life, in solitude and seclusion. He could be very strongly connected. Really with things, I would say again, that are very private. He might be involved in some behind the scenes work as well, I would suspect. And it could also, this could be the energy that maybe he might show a strong interest in things connected with the paranormal, because the 12th house is associated with that, and might have his own unique ideas in connection with that. Now, one of the other chart rulers is in his 2nd house. Now that could show that energy, that Aquarius-like energy, may go into very unorthodox, eclectic energy, may go into money-making ventures, and it could show that he may have a lot of selflessness in connection with that, because Aquarius energy can indicate a lot of selfless energy. Now, he also has majority of his planets on the left side of his chart. Now, given that, it tells me that he's really could be very self-driven, very self-motivated. He likely doesn't need a lot of cajoling or coaxing to get things started or initiated. And going back to the strong cardinal influence he has in his chart, a lot of initiative and enterprise, no pun intended, of course, with the enterprise. Anyway. And another thing talk about in this chart that I think is very, can point out to me, what stands out to me perhaps is his monumental achievement. And some people can see this as like a controversial yod, but a yod configuration can indicate monumental achievement as long as you could deal with the energies of the inconjuncts and work through the energies of the inconjuncts in the aspect configuration. Now, what I'm looking at in his chart, I say it's controversial because I'm using the ascendant and the sun. Some people don't only use planets for yod configurations. I'm going to use the ascendant, and I'm going to use in the sun, make a sextile aspect toward each other, and they inconjunct his Neptune. Well, how does that pan out? Well, Neptune being the apex or focal point, that could be the place of monumental achievement. Neptune, of course, could be connected with fantasy fiction, can be associated with filmography, and when you inject that Aquarius outward energy, the Aquarius ascendant, that very outward, eclectic, unique energy, plus the sun in Aries shining in connection with things associated with courage, valor, fearlessness, leadership. He played Captain Kirk on the iconic series Star Trek. He had all that leadership energy was naturally there. He was born to play this part, I believe, of being a leader, being a captain in that series. And then to top it off, then you have the Aquarius energy going into that as well. That ingenuity, that very eclectic, unique energy, which he could put his unique stamp on whatever he was doing in terms of his acting. So I think that is something that obviously to me, that is something that really stands out in that configuration. Again, the Neptune point is that point of that focal point, that where that monumental achievement can be made, and he does have that. As far as his Neptune goes, that could be connected with again, filmography and video, things that are associated with film and acting, because acting could be, well, things that are fantasy, fantastical, and fictional. So those are some things I look at when I look at William Shatner's chart. And the thing about it, he was just for me born to act. He has the ruler of the 10th house in his 5th house of acting. It is in Jupiter. Jupiter is in its exaltation in the zodiac sign Cancer. It also conjuncts his 6th house cusp, which of course could be very fortuitous for employment. He also has a grand fire trine configuration in his chart, which consists of the Sagittarius MC, and he has the Sun in Aries, and he has again, Mars is in there at late Cancer degree, but I'm still calling it, well, it's not a grand fire trine configuration, I'm sorry, it's a grand trine configuration with two of the components being fire elements, but it could still give the 2/3 of it being in fire can give a lot of leadership prowess, exuberance, and enthusiasm. In having the 10th, the second house, and the sixth house involved in matters with one's work in their career, their job, their employment. So he just was very natural to bring that leadership prowess into those, into this and everything. When you have a grand fire trine, a grand trine configuration, that energy could work very fluidly as long as you don't become complacent and you don't become too relaxed. It could give a lot of natural ability with things that are associated with leadership, with gregariousness, putting yourself out there, and really anything in really having Jupiter at that at the MC. I'm sorry, Sagittarius is the MC. Sagittarius, of course, is the lucky fortuitous sign. It shows that's where that luck, a lot of that luck came in, and that fortune was associated with this, and being on that 10th house cusp. And I am including the MC and Sagittarius part of the grand fire trine configuration. So that is, I think, how this really panned out for him, and I think it was very auspicious for him. So anyway, and of course you have, Aries in there, the Sun Aries, with all that valor and courage that is mixed in, and a lot of that assertive and aggressive energy that was mixed in, and of course Sagittarius, on the MC, the reputation for being very jocular, jovial, very optimistic. This is all very positive energy, and the Mars in Cancer near the 29th degree of Cancer can show very strong abundance and surfeit of energy, being in the sixth house in work related matters, and very tenacious energy was blended in as well. I think it was prominent in his success. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.